How would you respond in this situation? So imagine you're stood waiting for a coffee and there's a few of you in the queue, and then someone walks in and says, "Oh, would you mind if I jump in front of you because I'm in a rush?" Would you let them through? Well, they've tested this out and 94% of people will let that person through. You might not, but 94% do. But here's the interesting thing. They then tested it out again. So you're in a queue. This time the person comes in and says, "Would you mind if I jump in front of you?" And they give no reason. The willingness of people to let them jump in drops down to 60%. Now, that's still quite high, and it's probably because A, people are kind, and B, they're also kind of uncomfortable with the potential of conflict and awkwardness around it. But it doesn't stop there. It was done a third time, and this time you're waiting in the queue, person comes up to you and says, "Would you mind if I jump in the queue because I'm after a cup of coffee?" Well, we're all after a cup of coffee. What do you think the willingness of the queue was to let that person in, even though their reason was redundant? We were all there for the same thing. The willingness of the queue was 93%. So only 1% less than when they'd given a really valid reason of being in a rush or being late for something. Would you do the same? Maybe, maybe not, and this doesn't apply in every context and every setting, but the researchers found that when you introduce the word because and give some type of reason to make a request, people will just usually respond by saying, "Okay." So it's called a click and run method, and they've discovered that not only in humans but in lots of other animals as well, there are certain conditions where when something happens, we just act on autopilot and do something. And the word because often puts people into autopilot. Because usually is followed by a valid reason. But when it's not followed by a valid reason, the autopilot still kicks in. Interesting. You might be able to use that to your own advantage sometimes, but have a think about it and see whether when people say because and give you a reason, whether you automatically go to comply or not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.